What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of the world famous pod. It's your boy Mason, your host of the show here. Uh, Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Just a little midweek episode, going through some things. I know there's a lot that's going on right now with college football. A lot happens in a short amount of time, and there's a lot of questions that we needed answered. We've been kind of waiting for almost 3 weeks now. It was the last time we watched the Bucks play at the end of November, and a lot of question marks out of that game. Like I hinted at, I watched the press conferences, so you didn't have to. So we'll get into that, and then also, like I hinted at, I got a little bone to pick with Buckeye Nation. That'll be towards the end of the episode here. Before anything, please like, subscribe, share this episode, and if you watched the previous episode, I appreciate all 5 of you, or 40. It's five subscribers. Like you guys. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you to everybody, all 50-ish of you that watched the first episode. I really appreciate it. But with that, let's get into it. So, press conferences happened within the last 3 days. I think Ryan Day spoke twice, once yesterday and then again today. We'll just kind of work defense, offense, and then head coach. So, first one we're talking about, Jim Knowles and the defense. Most of the questions and things that he covered was Tennessee's tempo, how the Buckeye defense is going to be ready, what they've been doing in practice to make sure that they've been ready or getting themselves ready for it. Jim Knowles has touted that he's got the fastest play calling in college football, or at least that's the goal anyway. I guess he's been doing it his whole career, so I think we'll see. They looked out of place against Oregon, but that was week 4 or 3 or whatever week of the season that was. So hopefully, things have changed since then, and they've been able to implement what they learned, how they were out of position. It seemed a lot in that game where they were looking over at the sideline, and Oregon was already running their play. So hopefully they can work past that. A couple things that he hinted at was that he was having the practice team go tempo, having their, I guess they have 2 different people that are rotating in against the defense that way they can work the defense while they're tired. They can work different types of matchups and setups and all that sort of deal. And then 2, what they were having the defense do was start with their back to the offensive line. So what the offense would go ahead and get set. The defensive players would then turn around and recognize what spots they need to be in really quick before the offense fired off the snap. I think I think Tennessee has like the fastest cadence in college football, or at least one of the fastest. I think something I heard, I don't know if it's real or if it's embellished or whatever, but it's a play like, they'll run maybe 5 seconds off the play clock and they're already into that play. So I hope that the Bucks come ready. The other focus, we hinted at this already, is that they just got to stop the run. Again, most teams that try to run on Ohio State don't do a very good job, especially when that's what their main offense goes through. So I think the Bucks defense will be ready. Another thing that they talked about with Knowles was, does the defense get pissed at the offense when the offense lets them down in games? And what he brought up, essentially he said no. He tries to enforce. He tries to bring the thought process back to the defense of, hey, there's been times this season or even last season when you guys caught the blame for losing the game. So instead of pointing the finger at the offense, go ahead and pick your guys up, because it really is a team sport. I think Jim Knowles, I might butcher the quote, but he said that this is the greatest team sport in the world. So, take that for what it's worth. But I think he's got the defense in a good place. He's got them in the right mindset, and I think they're going to do the job that they need to get done. They also brought up Cody Simon and Caleb Downs to speak. 2 things on those guys, and as well as Sonny Styles, who didn't speak, but he's in this category too. those three guys are the speed that I think the Buckeye defense will need to help counteract the dynamic running attack that is Tennessee. If their running back can get through the line of scrimmage, those guys all year have been the guys that clean up the mess. They've been there. They fly all over the field. They're very fast. They're quick. They're able to get off of their assignment and to the ball as quick as possible. Caleb Downs, especially, he's a ball hawk. There's not like a stat for this, but looking at him all season, he's right where he sniffs out plays better than anybody else that I've seen ever. He sees things that other people don't, and he's made plays by himself on guys that are much larger than him. So I have no doubt that him and then Cody Simon and Sonny Styles are going to be in the spots the majority of the time that they need to be. I think I heard another stat about Cody Simon is that in these big games, so Oregon, Penn State, Indiana, and Michigan, he's had 10 tackles in every one of those big games. So, these are big-time players that show up in big moments. I expect them to do the same this Saturday. Jumping over to the offense, Chip Kelly spoke, and the biggest thing that I saw from him is that he took ownership of the play calling in the game in that loss. He said that it was one thing that he just wanted to establish the run and got caught up in trying to do that and he never moved off of that. He never abandoned that to try to get other guys more involved. And I think one of the writers there even asked him if play callers get stuck in ruts. And he said yes. He said that's exactly what happened to him. Hopefully he's had conversations with Ryan Day and they've been able to figure out how to better game plan for this, especially when you can't run right at these guys. I expect a lot more creativity out of this offense, a lot more movement, getting guys in motion, a lot more option plays, quick passes, and then hopefully coming out and taking some shots downfield. What I would like to see is, and this is just a personal preference, but Ohio State's first play of the game, get a guy in the backfield to block as an extra blocker, get a tight end in there as an extra blocker, both possible release valves, but taking a shot deep downfield to Jeremiah Smith. Fuck it, he's down there somewhere, kind of that mentality. And let him get a big play. This is one of those games where they'll need the crowd, and if you can get a crowd pop early, that'll help kind of carry, I think, get a big momentum swing, and then just hold that and ride that all the way through. So those are the big takeaways from Chip Kelly, though. Basically, that he took ownership of the play calling. Oh, he said that one of his quotes was, "We didn't put our players in position to make the plays that they needed to make." I think that's a big admission coming from a guy who's been around the block for a while. He's been in college and in the pros. He's been touted for how good he is at his job, and for him to go out and say that and take ownership, I think means that we're going to see a little bit different product coming out of the loss at the end of the season there. Saw Donovan Jackson. He came up and spoke a little bit too. He just spoke about switching from guard to tackle and what that's been like for him. He said that there was a little bit of a learning curve, but obviously he's done really well there. He's been able to make that transition pretty seamlessly. He talked about how before he was trying to, with those guys on the D end, he was trying to get his hands on him as quickly as he could versus trying to beat him to a spot, which I didn't think about because I've, again, never played football. Only credential is I went to Ohio State. But that was one thing that he brought up. And as soon as, he says something like that and you're like, okay, like as a casual fan, like that makes sense to me. I can understand kind of where he's coming from there. He also said that he's able to speak on some of the leadership that he's given to some of the guys that have filled in at those guard positions or at the left guard, kind of where like he he's worked with Paris Campbell, who was there last year, out at tackle, what they like to do together. So he was able to kind of, flip the script and say, hey, like, this is what we did. This is what we need to do to be successful on this left side of the offensive line. Will Howard spoke too. He got peppered on his mindset and how he's just an emotional guy and an emotional leader. He got hit with a question where it was like, Coach Day says, your play dictates your emotion, but you're a type of guy whose emotion dictates your play, and how do you keep that in check? And he was getting a lot of questions about that, and it is evident that he is an emotional leader, and he does really well in when his emotions are channeled in the right direction, and he doesn't do so well when they're not. So he seemed pretty positive. He seemed ready to go. They kept bringing up too, like they kept trying to bring it back to Michigan, bring it back to Michigan, bring it back to Michigan. At the end of it, he's like, at one point, I think he got to a point in the conversation where he's like, yeah, it's done. It's in the past, moving on. And I think that's kind of the general mentality that I've gotten from the guys listening to some of these press conferences that also got asked about the Michigan game, where it's like, sucks, but we still have this we still have some business that we need to take care of. Our season isn't over. All right, moving into Ryan Day. These are some bigger ones here. These are ones that some points here that were some of the biggest question marks. What's going to happen with the offensive line? Early on, I think there were two ways they could have gone. They have two guys who are both underclassmen, both have very little experience in with their Division I reps, but they had Josh Padilla possibly starting at center and moving Carson Hinsman back to the left guard, where he had some success this season until Seth McLaughlin went down, and then they shifted him back to center where he played all of last year. Josh Padilla is the type of guy, I guess he was an all-state wrestler or a state champion wrestler, so he's not a big guy, but he's shifty. So he's good with his hands. It'd be something that maybe he'll be in the running for next year. Ultimately, I think they decided to go with Luke Montgomery, their other option, out at guard, because he's gotten a lot more snaps this year with the ones and with some of the guys he's gotten some real in-game play, and I think that's kind of the only option that they had. I think it's tough to make a call to switch to a brand new center coming into a playoff game where you're going to have to go on a run against some really good teams. You're not making this fix. You're not making this switch just for Tennessee. You're making this switch for Tennessee and then Oregon and then possibly Texas and then possibly Georgia. This is going to be the temporary permanent fix moving forward. So moving into Luke Montgomery, I guess he's been coming on really strong. They're going to move him out to left guard. They're going to put Tegra Shabola out at right guard, where he's been all year, and frankly, he's struggled a little bit. I guess the word on him is that he's got all the physical tools of what it's going to take to hold that position down, but maybe he's just not there. His aggression isn't quite there, and I think the reason why this next guy, Austin Saraveld, he's got some playing time in at left guard. He's another big body, and he's going to be the one that's rotating between the two, I think, to maybe give Tegra a little bit of a blow, while Luke Montgomery also gets his feet under him. I know last week, I guess, or over this weekend, whenever the first episode released, I talked about rotating offensive linemen. And again, I'd never played football. Guess that's something you don't do. So we'll just say episode 2 is where I put my foot in my mouth and saying that that's not the best option for your offensive line, at least. But it's kind of the only option that we have at this point. So we're going to take that what it's worth. Ryan Day said that he's been spending some time just really trying to work with those guys, get some confidence there, get a good mojo going, and I think they'll be ready. They're going to need some help. I think you'll see some more packages with tight end blocking. You'll see some running backs sticking around in the backfield, some release valves. Hopefully, they get up the field a little bit in front of the line of scrimmage, so we're not getting any negative yards if and when we have to release the ball. I think that was one thing that Ryan Day spoke on, was getting creative with Henderson and Judkins in getting them the ball. So I hope that's what that translates to. He talked about trying to get at least 4 yards every rush. That's a yard plus more than what Tennessee lets up right now. So with the makeshift offensive line, with the talent that's on their defensive line, I think that's a tall order. But again, getting creative, getting them out in space, spreading the offense out a little bit, and getting Will Howard moving. I think all of that comes together, and hopefully that's the creativity that we see when we're able to get our playmakers the ball. The last little thing here, I guess, is what's interesting is there's a little kicker battle going on between Jaden Fielding and our backup kicker, Austin Snyder. So they haven't went with Fielding yet. He's our kicker that in the game missed two field goals, which would have given us the W. I guess there's Ryan Day has said that his teammates have been real supportive of him, but at the same time, like, everybody's got their job to do. So hence the kicking competition. So we'll see what happens. They've struggled with kicker all year, and in recent years, they haven't had that guy that is just the Mr. Automatic. Hopefully they can get it figured out, because I think this game is going to be close, and it's going to come down to maybe a score or even a field goal. I think Ohio State is favored by 7.5, but I don't know what that's going to look like come game day. I haven't thought about it too much yet. I'll put that out earlier on Saturday. I'll give a little score prediction, and hopefully I'm right. If not by more. But yeah, I think the offense and the defense are in good spots. Defense, I have more confidence in. Offense, I am cautiously optimistic. So we'll let the chips fall where they may on Saturday. Last little bit here. I got a bone to pick with some of Buckeye Nation. And this is surrounding the loss in the game and not getting the Big Ten championship, and the 3 goals that Ryan Day had laid out, with goal number 1 being beat Michigan, goal number 2 being win the Big Ten, goal number 3 win the national championship. And I'm not going to name which podcast it comes from, but I think they have a pretty decent sized following, and I think there are a lot of other people who are probably in the same boat. And that is the game has lost its importance to this team, and I don't even want to win the national championship, because it'll just be having lost to Michigan and winning the national championship in the same year. Like, there'll just be this asterisk, or it'll be this black mark on the record, and this, that, and the other. And my thought is, like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you can't turn back the clock. You can't go back in time and beat Michigan and win your national championship. So, like, goal 1 and 2 this season are out. We're in a new world of college football where, like, we can still win the national championship. And, like, I don't care, if that happens, if Ohio State goes all the way through and wins the national championship, like, sure, Michigan fans are going to chirp about, well, we beat you and this is whatever. They're going to say what they're going to say. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold up our trophy for winning the national championship and say, well, we got this. We took it from you. You had it last year. We have it now. Like, this is ours. You were at home on the couch watching. That's the bragging right. Like, it sucks. It sucks losing to Michigan, and it is important to beat them that's part of the Ohio State culture, and Ryan Day is like getting grilled for it deservedly. But the people that wanted to fire him right away, fire Ryan Day. It's like, do you not see that we have an opportunity here to win a natty? Like, do you not want that for Ohio State? I only want to win it if we beat Michigan. Grow up. Grow up. We're here to win a national championship. That's what we have in front of us. And that's what we're going to do, hopefully. That's the dream is that's what we're trying to accomplish at the end of the day, is win a national championship. I mean, like there's two, like you can feel pissed about the loss to Michigan, but keep looking forward. Like there's stuff to look forward to still. Like this isn't the end of the road. We're not playing in some throwaway bowl game. Like we could go on a run here, and it would be the run for the ages if we did this, if we pull this off. We'll beat Tennessee. We'll beat Oregon. We'll probably end up playing Texas. We'll beat them, and then we'll probably end up playing Georgia in the national championship and beat them. Like we beat 3 SEC teams. We shut up the SEC in one go. We put the whole world on notice that Ohio State isn't going nowhere, that we're here to stay, and we're the national champions. That's what we have in front of us. And fine, like they're going to talk their talk. Fine. We'll come back, we'll beat the piss out of them next year, and we'll have a national championship in the records forever. So that's all I got to say on that. That's my bone to pick with Ohio State, or not with Ohio State, but with Buckeye Nation. Y'all are spoiled, and you can't see the forest through the trees sometimes. So I'm here to show you. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Again, please like, subscribe, and follow. Share this with your friends. Help grow my following. I know I really appreciate it. And as always, go Bucks.